Hey, it's Jen. I've got another movement of the day post for you. Today's mod is episode 52. It's going to be short and quick. I'm going to just basically give you a principle and a couple tips revolving around whenever we do sort of any neck stretches or neck mobility drills. The principle is called the long neck principle because that's exactly what it is. And I'm actually not going to go over all of the specific drills around the neck. I already did this in the separate posts under the Tiny Movement series back in November 2020, and that whole collection is under one YouTube playlist. So I'll link that and you can take a look if you want, but I will give you like one or two examples. So what I'm referring to is that many of us, with even if we're not doing a very specific neck movement as a drill or a stretch, many of us are kind of inadvertently or unconsciously throughout the day probably just sort of trying to loosen up our stiff neck. So as we do that, no matter what it is that you're doing, we should keep in mind this idea of keeping our neck lengthened and long regardless of which way we're moving our head. So the biggest example that I'll give you, because the chin tucks, revolving around the chin tucks, is because it's something that we should be doing throughout the day as many times as possible, anytime we remember to do it. So with the chin tucks, we take our chin just back towards the back of the neck so that we're trying to bring the ear in line with our shoulders. But as we do this, we should also try to keep in mind lengthening through the neck. So as if we have that puppet string right on the crown of our head that's being pulled up. So that's one way to use it or to incorporate that principle. Now, if you're doing the movement where we're going the head side to side, which is also very common, okay, you should also think about lengthening, and you would do that by taking your chin, thinking about taking your chin up to the ceiling, okay, versus bringing your ear to the shoulder, which is what we would normally think about. That will also help correct some of the mistakes that could happen. So for example, bringing the ear to the shoulder could result in bringing the shoulder to the ear, okay? Also, it could it could facilitate where we're being too forceful with the neck, such as just trying to cram that head down to the side. So anytime you're putting a lot of the forceful movements or adding pressure to it by bringing your hands in like this, where you're really pulling on it, unless it is a very intentional neck drill that calls for that, and there are plenty. I use it very often for a specific knot in the back and shoulders, you know, where I am pulling it down. But for the most part, if we're just taking our neck through all of the ranges of motion, side to side, up and down, even if you're doing the movement to bring your neck down, then you would be thinking about lengthening the back of the neck, okay? So it will help prevent you from just jamming everything, okay? So that's the long neck principle. Now, the tips. The first tip is that we should be incorporating an intentional mobility session of the neck in all of the directions before every workout, okay? So even if you are working mostly, you know, your lower body and your legs that day, you should always start with mobilizing the neck. Now, there's a slew of benefits to doing this, one of which is that if you're doing a workout and you're kind of having to talk yourself into it, or you're feeling a little bit of a dread, you know, you kind of have to give yourself a pep talk. Well, starting with the neck mobility drills is sort of your pre-warm-up to your warm-up, is a very easy way for you to, you know, trick yourself into starting the workout, okay? If your workout starts with your neck mobility, it's not that big of a deal, right? So it's a very easy way to get over that hurdle of starting a workout, let alone the benefits of actually doing the neck mobility drills. Then as you do this, you also get the benefit of pairing now, always starting with a neck mobility drill, allows you to pair that session with an actual workout. So this is the the pairing method for habit creation and task stacking. And if nothing else, even if you completely back out of the workout, at least you get a nice neck mobility session in. So this is what's so great about it. So it's great standalone. It's absolutely required or needed for to mobilize the neck before a workout, but it could then also help you get into the workout. So there's a lot of ways that being conscientious about this could help you. So just keep those principles in mind, your long neck principle, and then always starting your workouts with an intentional neck mobility drill. Again, if you want to go through all of the ways of the neck mobility, then you can look at the playlist. All right, so give that a try. This is Jen signing off, reminding you to start where you are, do what you can, use what you have, and move something.